Hi, Joel Munch here, and welcome to What's Holding You Back. That's the name of this particular video, and that's what I'm actually going to be talking about. But I'm going to do it for another purpose than producing this video. So I decided to add a chapter in my book that I'm working on about what's holding you back. And one of the things that I thought would be nice is to let you see how I actually write chapters in my book. Now, sometimes I'm actually hands on the keyboard. A lot of times I'm just talking like this. Occasionally I'm staring off into space, talking to my phone, but I'm gonna go ahead and try and talk to the camera here today. Now, it's a fairly simple thing that I do. I have my laptop running, I have Microsoft Word up, and in this case I have my iPhone in front of me recording what I'm doing, and then I have an old iPhone off to the side here so you can actually see my screen a little bit. Now, the one thing I'm going to do before I start talking and creating content for this chapter, which I've actually found works best for me, is just to simply talk. If I try and write, I start editing as I'm writing. If I'm talking, sure, I can say something over again. Well, that didn't sound quite right. Maybe I need to say it a different way. And it gets captured. Then I can clean it all up when I start editing. It's so much easier to edit the words after they're already on the paper. And I'm gonna let the computer help me with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on now. And as I'm talking, you'll start to see words show up on the screen here. Now, eventually the screen will fill up, and I'm not going to scroll, I'm just going to keep talking. The normal way I do this is I'll talk and complete a sentence, period, new line. And I'll give small little commands like that to add the punctuation, comma, or to basically do what other editing I need to, period. I'm going to stop doing that and just start talking. Otherwise, it's going to get a little weird for you to listen to. All right, let's talk about what's holding you back. It's an interesting question. I ask it quite often. Whether I'm consulting or working as a CIO, I'll ask the question of others around me. What's holding you back? Now, there are a lot of different ways you can ask this question, but the answers usually fall into three types of answers. Now, as the CIO, you probably wouldn't be surprised that when I ask someone, what's holding you back? Instinctively, they respond with, well, IT is holding me back. That just makes sense, doesn't it? You're the problem, and you're here asking me what my problem is, and it's you and your team and your technology. That's the problem. If it was just done the right way, I would be amazing. Now, how often have you heard that? If I just had this, I would be amazing. Well, if that were true, why didn't you fix it a long time ago? Why wait till now to point it out or complain about it? Now, admittedly, there are people that cannot work as efficiently and maybe not do their job as well based on the technology and tools they have to use. That can be true. However, all I'm pointing out here is one of the types of responses often that I'll get back is IT is the problem. Technology is the problem. That's what's holding me back. Nothing else. Now, the other response, when I ask, well, what's holding you back? Will typically fall into the second category, and that's people. Those people over there are holding me back. In some cases, it's the people in IT that are holding me back. They're not getting this equipment to me fast enough. They're not agreeing to buy this software that I need. They're not. And it goes on and on and on. But that's the second category. It's the people that are holding me back. Now, the interesting part is the third category. And that's what I often don't hear in a response to that. When I ask, what's holding you back? I rarely ever hear the response, me. I'm holding me back. That's actually the response that is probably the most true. In other words, if you could learn how to use the tools you have better, you'd probably be able to perform your job better if you took the time. Or if you simply had spent time up until me asking that question, what's holding you back, you might have already had new systems in place. Your problems would be gone. Or you would have resolved that conflict with that other person on your team or another department or whomever it is, that other person that's holding you back. But the mere fact that when I'm asking the question and you're quick to point out everything that's not you says a lot about who you are to me. When I'm asking what's holding you back, I'm looking for that person to be honest about and have the ability to self-assess their own contribution to what's holding them back. It can be really difficult to do. And I fall into this trap too. In rolling out a major system, it wasn't unusual to look at, well, the users just aren't trying. I'm not seeing the adoption. It looks like, actually I'm pausing because it looks like it stopped recording. Let me try. There, I'll start it again. I heard it ding. Sometimes it does this in Microsoft Word. I don't know why. That's why often I'll use my iPhone to do the transcribing, but it looks like it's going again. So when I'm talking with people, I'm looking for that personal responsibility component to what's holding them back. When that's completely absent, then I take most of what they say with a grain of salt. If you have no contribution to what's holding you back, then oh my gosh, you are the victim of the century. It's amazing that it's all someone else's fault or all something else's fault that's actually holding you back. And that just isn't true. Have you actually done everything you can? And what I was starting to talk about is in a major system implementation, which I've been involved with throughout my career, there are times when I'm approached, whether I'm sponsoring that implementation or running it, why is this not happening? And I'll spell out, well, here's this, here's this, here's this. And sometimes forget to say, and here's my part in it. Now, that's just something that I need to remind myself about doing. And fortunately, when I'm working with really talented leaders, they'll point that out and say, hey, Joel, what else could you be doing? What is it you're doing or not doing that's holding this back? And I'll quickly be able to define a lot of things I could be doing differently or things I could be doing or not doing that might help move things forward and not hold us back as much. And that's all we're looking for. So when you think about what's holding you back, yes, it could be the technology. Sure, it could be the people around you. But in reality, most of the time, you're the one holding yourself back. There are a lot of actions you can take to help overcome any situation where you feel like you're being held back. In some cases, you simply need to ask for help. So I'm being held back because I'm not getting help from so-and-so. Well, have you asked? In almost every situation when someone says, I'm being held back because of this, I'll reply with, well, what have you done? Have you asked for help? Have you asked for your laptop to be replaced? Have you asked for whatever it is? And if you were told no, or your request was ignored, well, what did you do? So again, what's holding you back? You should ask yourself this. And you should actually ask people around you. Occasionally, you'll get some good feedback. What's holding you back? Well, you are. Well, what is it I'm doing or not doing that's holding you back? And that can lead to some very productive conversations. But in the absence of someone like me asking, what's holding you back? What I'm suggesting is that you look in the mirror every day and ask yourself, what's holding me back? And quickly shift into that mode of saying, what am I doing or not doing? And take personal responsibility for whatever it is that's holding you back. And then figure out how to move forward. Yes, you might need some things to change. You might need IT to do something. You might need other people to do something. But at least you have clarity of your role and your contribution to what's holding you back and your ability to contribute to overcome whatever it is that's holding you back. Well, I think I have enough content for this chapter. Probably said some things over and over again. That's it. So this is how I go through and write chapters. I hope you find it interesting, and I'll be sure to post the edit of this up as I go along. Thanks for joining. Hope you and your family are doing well. Take care.